Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm the director of the SBH Center for Culinary Medicine and Teaching Kitchen, and today we are bringing the Teaching Kitchen to you. Today we're going to learn how to make some quick pickled onions. So the first thing we need is going to be an onion. I'm using a red onion today. You could use white, just depends on what you have. So I'm going to start by julienning my onion. Julienning just means that we're going to cut it into long, thin strips. I like to make these as thin as possible just because it helps that onion to pickle a little bit longer. So I cut both ends off my onion, cut it in half. Now I'm going to peel that. And I love doing pickled onions because they're a great addition to things like sandwiches, salads. They're wonderful on top of a burger or on a grain bowl. They're just nice and crisp and acidic and add a lot of really great flavor to whatever we're eating. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this as thin as I can. And you don't have to only stick to onions if you want to quickly pickle something. Things like carrots and cucumbers and radishes will all work really well using this technique. The thing that you just want to remember is you always want to cut things pretty thinly or it's going to take a long time for them to pickle. Alright, so I have my julienned onion, and I'm just going to put these into a jar that I have. Just anything with a tight-fitting lid is going to work. This is what we're going to store our onions in once we put them into the refrigerator. So I'm just going to get them on there. It's okay if you need to pack your onions in a little bit. They're going to soften up when we put our pickling liquid in there, and they're all going to fit nicely into our container. So pack my onions in there. I can put this off to the side for now. And we're going to make our pickling liquid. So we need equal parts water and vinegar and then our seasonings. So I'm going to start with some hot water. This was boiling just a few seconds ago. And I'm going to do half a cup of this. I'm using a mason jar because it has measurements on the side. So that's half a cup of that hot water. And to that I'm going to add a tablespoon and a half of sugar. Don't skip out on the sugar. I know it's really tempting, but you need that in there to balance out the acidity of the vinegar. We're also going to add a teaspoon and a half of salt, so less salt than we used for the sugar. And all I'm going to do is stir that into that water until it's nice and dissolved. So this is why we use that hot water. We want to make sure that sugar and salt fully dissolve because they're not going to dissolve once we put this in the fridge. Alright, and that just took a few seconds. You could also do this over the stove in a pot and just bring everything up to a boil, but this works really well. So we have that all stirred together. Now I'm going to add some vinegar. I like to use apple cider vinegar. You can really use any vinegar except for balsamic vinegar because it's so dark it's going to turn your pickles a strange color, but you could use rice vinegar, red wine vinegar, whatever you have on hand. Even plain old distilled white vinegar would work. So I had half a cup of water. I'm going to use half a cup of that apple cider vinegar. And then we can add other seasonings we want depending on what we have. So I like to add some crushed red pepper because I like spicy pickles. So I'll add about a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. I also have some coriander seeds. Again, just about a 1/4 teaspoon of those. And then I have some black pepper. So I'm just going to add, again, about a 1/4 teaspoon of those. I'm going to stir this again. And that's it. That's our pickling liquid. So I'm going to pour this over my onions. And that made about the perfect amount of liquid. I'm just going to make sure my onions are completely covered. And that's it. Now I've got some pickled onions. If I want to use these right away, I can leave them on the counter for about 30 minutes and they'll be ready to go. I like to just leave them in my fridge overnight. These are going to last in your fridge for about a month. You'll probably go through them quicker than that. And that's it. Simple and easy. Great way of preserving our fresh produce. So again, I'm Emily. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you all and answer any questions that you have in the future, and I'll see you next time.